Trump just took some questions in the Oval Office with Zelensky, talking about banning mail-in voting and machine ballots. Let's take a look at the clip. Welcome to the Dude Report. All right, here's the clip. Let's roll it.
All right, Brian, go first.
You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important
Well, that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots.
Best lawyers.
Because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses it because of what's happened. Massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want change are the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots.
Oh, yeah.
And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines, I mean, they say we're going to have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results that night. Most people, but most people, many countries use paper ballots. It's the most secure form. So between paper ballots, very, very important, paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it because the Democrats want it. It's the only way they can get elected. Because with men and women's sports and with transgender for everybody and open borders and all of the horrible things. And now the new thing is they love crime. They're fighting me on the fact that I've made Washington, D.C. safe. We're not going to get mugged, beaten up, or killed like all the people you've been watching get so badly hurt. I'm glad. I hate to take your time with this, but I'm glad you asked me that question. We're going to stop
It's a great question.
mail-in ballots because it's corrupt. You know, when you go to a voting booth and you do it the right way and you go to a state that runs it properly, you go in, they even ask me. They asked me for my license plate, for identity. I said, I don't know if I have it. They said, sir, you have to have it. I was very impressed, actually.
License
But
plate.
it's very hard to cheat.
I think you meant
With
license.
mail-in voting, as you know what happens in California, it's so corrupt, where some people get 5, 6, 7 ballots delivered to them.
Yeah.
We got to stop mail-in voting, and the Republicans have to lead the charge. The Democrats want it because they have horrible policy. If you have mail-in voting, you're not going to have many Democrats get elected. That's bigger than anything having to do with redistricting, believe me. And the Republicans have to get smart.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a country. I said for a long time at rallies, you need borders and you need free and peace.
Okay.
Those two things. Otherwise, you don't have. We have strong borders now. In 90 days, Mr. President, we didn't have 1, 0, 0, and 3 months. Not one person came in illegally into our country. In fact, even I find
Check
that hard
that
to
out.
believe.
Let's
But
see what you think about that.
it's run by a little bit of a liberal group that put out the numbers. So I guess it's
Oh, shit. He's wearing a
0,
suit, kind
0,
of.
and 0. You go back a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 millions of people poured into our country. It was terrible. Thank you very much.
So he's saying he wants to get rid of the mail-in voting and look at the machines, do something with the machines. I don't really know what that means, but he's going to craft an executive order and he's going to throw it out there, and then it's going to get tied up in the courts and eventually probably work its way to the Supreme Court. Does he have the power to do it? I don't think he does. I think Congress would have to do that, but we'll have to really dive into that. But let's take a look at some of these facts on mail-in voting. Let's check out the Truth Social. Okay, so I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots. And also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and serious controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper. Starting right there, that is true. They are very, very expensive, and they're very controversial, right? So he's right on there. Which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won, who lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting All others gave it up because of the massive voter fraud. Well, that's not really true, though, but it's about 17%. I did the calculations. 17% of the world uses that. And, it's for the elderly and the disabled and military. So 17% of the world. I guess you could round that to zero. We will begin this effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never seen before. By signing an executive order to help bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections, remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tell them for the good of the country to do. With their horrible radical left policies, like open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender, and woke for everyone, and so much more, Democrats are virtually unelectable without using this completely disproven mail-in scam. Elections can never be honest with mail-in ballots voting, and everybody, and particularly the Democrats, know this. And the Republican Party will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to our elections. The mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are completely and total disaster must end now. Remember, without fair and honest elections and strong and powerful borders, you don't even have a semblance of a country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Okay, not too bad, Trump impression. I'm getting better at it. Okay, so a couple things in there where he's talking about as the federal government as represented by the President of the United States. So, yeah, I think he's saying he has the power to do it, which we're going to find out. And then he started going into the woke and the borders, and then going back to the mail-in scams. Let's see a couple facts on this. So really what it comes down to, I think, on the Republican side was the 2020 election. This article is based on a graph from analysis at 5:38. Scroll down to 8:27 a.m., which shows a sudden surge in votes in Biden between midnight and 6 a.m. on November 4th. So this led to speculation online that votes have been artificially added to his tally once everyone had gone to sleep. And that is what everyone is saying. And you can see, I mean, Trump's rocking and rolling, and then stops, and then boom, Brown and Kenosha counties still counting. So Trump had a little bit of a boost right there too, but then Biden got this massive boost. So we'll see. That's over 1.5 million. So that's really the graphic that you always see. I asked Grok, can you show me a graphic map or maps for the 2016 election, 2020 election, and 2024? So let's take a look at this. 2026 election map description. Outcome: Donald Trump, Republican, won 304 electoral votes to Hillary Clinton. Democratic 227 after accounting for 7 faithless electors. Popular vote: Clinton won the popular vote at 65.8 million votes, 48.2% to Trump's 62.9 million at 46.1, a margin of 2.87 million votes for Clinton. Okay, so he won the Electoral College. She lost. So, you can look at that. I don't have my calculator here. I need to pull my calculator. 129 million votes, right? If my math is correct. 2020 presidential election map describes outcome: Joe Biden won 306 electoral votes. Donald Trump's Republican 232. Popular vote: Biden won 81,284,666 votes. Ooh, 666. That's not a good sign, folks. 51.3% of the vote to Trump's 74,224,319, which is 46.8%, a margin of 7.06 million votes turnout, but 159 million votes. So 129 million, then we jump up to 159, right? So that's a big jump. I mean, 29 million, 159 million, that's 30 million more people. Okay, so keep that in mind. 30 million more people. And then it goes into more details. 2024 presidential election map outcome: Donald Trump, Republican, won 312 electoral votes to Kamala Harris. Crimala, Democrat, 226. Popular vote: Trump won 78,284,117 votes, for its 49.8%, to Harris, 75,000 19,268. So 48.3%, margin of 3.26. So 153 million. Turnout, 63.9% turnout. So they had a turnout of 66.6, and the turnout on 2024 is 63.9. Taking a look at this, it's 159 million on the 2020. It's highest since 1900s, and 2024 and 53 million, right? So 159, so it's less, okay? Why is that? That's interesting, I guess. But it's way more, though. I mean, 153 million versus the 2016 election, which total, I think we just kind of didn't give me the information. We did round it up to 129. So I guess maybe you think they're still cheating in the 2024 election. Popular vote shifts. 2016 Clinton's popular vote lead 87 million contrasted with Trump's electoral win. That's the one that got everyone real salty. Biden's larger lead of 7.06 million showed strong blue urban turnout. Maps highlighted blue counties. So if you look at the map, you can see there was, from 2020 to 2024, Trump flipped 6 states. I mean, he won them all. Okay, so then I asked Grok, how long did it take to get the 2020 election results? So this is key right here. The 2020 U.S. presidential election results were not finalized on a single date due to decentralized nature of U.S. elections, whatever that fucking means. For states certify results on varying timelines and unprecedented volume of mail-in ballots caused by COVID-19 pandemic delayed some counts. Okay, so yeah. The Wuhan whooping cough and the Shanghai shivers really played a factor. That's what they're saying. So here we go. Why it took longer in 2020. Mail-in ballots. The COVID-19 pandemic led to a surge in mail-in voting. 46% of ballots versus 25% in 2016. Okay, so that it almost doubled. Some states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin had laws prohibiting pre-processing of mail ballots before Election Day, delaying counts. Okay. A comparison to other elections. 2016, the AP projected Trump's win over Clinton on November 9th, 2016, one day after Election Day, November 8th. As margins in key states, Michigan and Pennsylvania were clear sooner with fewer mail-in ballots. 2024, Trump's win over Harris was projected by the AP November 6, 2024, one day after election. Okay, so it took one day. November 4th, boom. November 5th, we know. Right? We knew that, I think, like 1:32 in the morning. You know, they called it. I don't think she conceded, though, till later, though. So the 2020 context, the 4-day delay in 2020 to protect a winner was longer than 2016 and 2024, but not unprecedented. 2000, it took 36 days. I remember the Florida recount. So they did a whole recount in Florida when old Bush was running. The full certification process, 5 to 9 weeks, aligns with typical U.S. election timelines. I mean, come on, guys. 4 days? Are you serious? Took 4 days. Summary. Projection of winner. Took 4 days, November 3rd to November 7th, 2020, for the AP to call Biden the winner. Certifications completed within 5 weeks. Final certification took 9 weeks, January 6th, January 7th, 2021, for Congress to certify the Electoral College. Mike Pence did not do a solid for old MAGA. They're pretty pissed about it. So there you go. Joe Biden got 81 million. Trump got 74. 81,284,666 votes to 74,224. I mean, Trump did a lot better than he did in 2016. So 2016, he did 62, and he jumped that up to 74. But then Hillary, she did 65 million, and Biden, I mean, holy shit, you know. She did 65 million, and he did, was it 16 million more? I mean, holy shit, it's wild. So you can see why he wants to get rid of it. It doesn't seem fair. And you know, I agree with him. I think let's just go back to paper ballots, watermark, You know, it's easy on a recount. I don't trust the machines. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I don't think either side should trust the machines. Let's just count them, you know, the way it should be counted. You know, why are we trusting electronic machines? There was a movie about that with Robin Williams where he was a comedian running and then the machines fucked up and he won. I mean, shit. What happens to that? Shit, we could have Bill Maher be president. George Carlin, actually, that's the comedian we want. You want him to be president for sure. But yeah, let's see if I got anything else. Oh, I want to take a look at this. Okay, so this is MIT Election Data and Science Lab, how we voted in 2020. A topical look at the survey and performance of American elections, blah, 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 blah. One last way to look at the vote by mail shift is to consider the data along political party lines. President Trump criticized voting by mail as being prone to fraud, which increasingly led Republican voters to regard it with suspicion. On the other hand, Democratic activists and voters were more likely to embrace the opportunity to vote by mail, either because of political reasons or out of a desire to manage voting safely during the pandemic. Whatever the reason for these differences in the approach to voting by mail, the fact is that the Democrats and Republicans use the mail at significantly different rates in 2020. As the following graph shows, between 2008 and 2016, Democrats were slightly more likely to vote by mail than Republicans. However, the difference is primarily an artifact of which states had chosen to conduct their elections entirely by mail. Looking at the 2020, the partisan difference in voting by mail increased substantially. The proportion of Democrats voting by mail more than doubled, while the proportion of Republicans using vote by mail increased only 50% because they don't fucking trust that shit. Compared in 2016, in total, 60% of Democrats cast their ballots by mail in 2020 compared to only 32% of Republicans, right? And this is what Trump's talking about. Like take a look at this. 2008, 2012, so Democrats are voting more by mail. You know, they're getting those Social Security checks. They're sitting on high in the hog. They don't want to leave the house. They're buying gummy bears and sodas and all kinds of shit. Welfare. Boom, 2016. So they're at 21 to 26%. And then boom, look at 2020. 60%, 32%. This is what he's talking about, right? I mean, holy shit. Look at that. That's a 28% jump right there. Jesus Christ, with a side of fried rice. Something's fishy here. So when you look at that graph, you can see why. Of course, these people still drive around with masks on. I see them all the time. I have neighbors that walk their dog with mask on. Their fucking dog might as well have a mask on. I mean, that's just the way they are. They're told what to do, and they do it. So that's just a really big, I mean, look at that. Jesus. 28%. So is it fair? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But I want to go back to the old ways, you know? What else are they saying? Yeah, so COVID was definitely the factor there, 30.5%. Everything else is, I mean, even armed forces, 0.2%. Only has vote by mail, 10%. What the fuck? I don't think you can get rid of it. No. I mean, you got your military and all that stuff and people that are disabled. I don't know if you'll be able to get rid of it all. They'll do something, though. We'll see what the Supreme Court says. They'll do something with it. They lost every court case, though, that he went, you know, when they challenged the 2020 election. So that didn't go too good. But does the president have power to get rid of this? I don't know. I think the country would be better off if we got rid of it. I think everybody wants to know who won the fucking election on the night of the election. Right? We're all staying up late, drinking beers. We might have to work the next day. Let's just get the results in. Even this last election, 2024, it took fucking forever. Fuck that. Let's go back to paper ballots and let's just count them. Boom, boom, boom. I don't see what's wrong with that. And I think that he made a really good point. You know, people were getting mailed ballots. Their kids were getting mailed ballots, and they're, you know, you ask your kid, hey, are you going to vote? So, no, you just fill it out. Fuck it. You know, I think really, to be honest, that's what was going on. Let's just be real here. You know, people were sitting in in the House. Republicans are like, what would Jesus do? He wouldn't do that, so they throw it away. But the Democrats, not all of them down with the old cheesy crazy, so they're filling them out. They're filling out all their kids' ballots, and people, and they got their neighbors that's not there. Grab that ballot, fill that one out. Getting blank ballots. People were getting just ballots for no reason, just extra ballots. So they're filling them out, and I think that's why the 2020 election. And I know there's going to be people saying you don't have any proof, and I don't have any proof. But come on, right? Come on. I think these people are just going to throw these ballots away, or they're just going to fill them out and send them back, right? So something's got to be done. I like it. Let's go back to voting in person, the old ways. Let's go back to the old ways. I think that would be great. Thank you for joining us at the Dude Report. And as always, have a blast. Shove a mail-in ballot up your ass.
Report.